Such elation for all students. You've studied all these years, and now you're finally going to get into the full-time day-to-day activities in the settings of hospitals and clinics. So super excited.
Residency looming, board exams ahead. Take a deep
Throw a party, bring the food, fireworks. Most students can hardly wait for this time to arrive. Celebrate. It's in that critical third year of medical school, the clinical year, when you will finally get to see for yourself many of the major gateway specialties in medicine, from which you will select a career pathway. I'm confident this session is going to be really helpful to medical students looking ahead into and through the clinical years, right up to and around the bend of the match. I'm Dr. Chad Brands with Mentoring Docs. Thank you for joining us on the channel. Be sure to subscribe, share the videos with your friends and colleagues. In this session, I'm going to be sharing time-tested and practical strategies that will prove to be helpful to you individually on how to set up your third year in medical school to be successful. Let's cover these quickly so you can get started right away with implementing these practical strategies for continued success in med school and beyond. The setup for your clinical experiences starts strategically with you and your individual life map and your family's needs so that you can plan to flourish and thrive. Just a preview to year 4 and beyond in the years of graduate medical education. Strategy 1, see the big picture and set aside a dedicated amount of time for career professional development, specifically to block schedule those clinical experiences, OB, GYN, PEDS, psych, internal medicine, surgery, these different specialties into this key clinical year. Disciplines that you need to take in that third year of medical school to really become a well-rounded medical student. Then you'll be able to clearly understand how and when the school actually sets up its own clinical experiences for you. This proactive approach is going to ensure that you're completely informed and allow you to make your own best decisions. Then you'll be the best able to reflect and act on your own individual and family circumstances, the situations that you find yourself in, but you can set your family up for success. That big picture flyover view for today's discussion is what many medical schools have called geographically distributed clinical campus sites. And they might even sign you up for a lottery or a match or a selection rank type process of different communities where you will, quote, rotate through different clinical specialties. But you need to get out ahead of this process months in advance. Why? Some medical schools just do not prioritize this process or communicate very effectively or frequently with their students about it for where you're going to be and when and how you're going to be performing in different clinical settings, different hospitals, perhaps different campus sites even. Why? Schools are in a business known as graduate education, and they're set up to manage a great number of students in enrollment. But they don't wake up each morning individualizing or strategizing your own career. You yourself, you need to focus on your individual career path and set it up for success. So, you need to know the timeline on these processes, and they typically occur in your second year so that you can go and grow into the third year. Ask the questions about the process. Be proactive out in front of it. In your second year of study, preparing for the third year, at least a semester or 2 in advance of the actual process steps for a clinical site selection or the lottery or the match. Don't wait for the perfunctory emails on process steps and the sessions and signing up. Be proactive. It's your career and your professional development. Talk with your classmates, faculty, professors, deans. Review the website for clinical site information selection. Digest it, synthesize it, integrate it. Be incredibly well informed. And then you can simultaneously start the conversation with your significant others and family members and plan to work together for a better or best outcome with a strategy. You want to consider those inputs, right? Where you might want to be, what ranker you might want to put together for different sites, or even the order in which you may indicate the preferences to take these required clinical courses. Student doctors, no one's coming to do a search and rescue mission for you. No one's going to save you. You've got to get organized. So set these things up and put it on your calendar and be ahead of the deadlines. Strategy 2, spend time exploring where you want to spend your third year and that clinical setting experience. It comes down to location, location, location. The best clinical site, the best fit for you and your family at this point in your career journey. Looking to the future. It's a vital consideration for you and your family, now and in the future as well. Not just a rule in real estate, location, location. Consider how you really want your family unit to flourish and thrive in a community clinical setting. Okay, if you can stay right in your dorm, condo, apartment, right where you're at in the big city campus, next to the major academic center right now, you may not have to give this any additional thought, but do the thought experiment with us right now. How long before you're considering a residency program in the match in multiple different cities? You see the point. The site selection process means that your school is managing all of its soon-to-be third-year students, and they have to put them in different clinical sites, but you want the best fit for your career as possible. You as a student have a lot more influence on this process than you might believe. Drive it, live it, get engaged, and figure out where you want to be living and working in these clinical settings. A lot of medical schools will partner with different hospitals and different clinical sites. They might not all be in tiny town where the med school is located, and it might not be in a big urban area. Medical schools have to partner with different geographic regions and hospital sites and healthcare delivery systems so that students can work and actually learn how to be doctors. That might not all be in one hospital right across the street from your medical school. It's going to be in different places. Why do medical schools do this? Well, you've got large classes in most medical schools, right? Take 150, 200, 250 medical students. Wow. Big class sizes mean that they have to partner with different hospital sites and different clinical delivery systems so that everybody gets a place and a space to grow and learn. Not just to put their backpack down, but to really learn surgery well, right? We can't have 20 students gathered around one robotic surgeon doing work, right? We've got to get those students separately put into places where hopefully you can be up close to the surgical field and not just passively watching. You want to go to the clinical site that's going to give you the best path to the future. If you want to be a great surgeon, pick a site that does surgery well. If you want to be a great internist, pick a site that does medical care well. If you want to work with infants and children and go into pediatrics, then pick a place that's got a freestanding children's hospital, for instance. You have to know these sites, and how do you get to know them? Through the lives of your classmates a year or two ahead of you. Even for our younger viewers, just sitting in that classroom, getting through those early courses in anatomy and biochem. This is why it's so important to get to know those classes a year or two just ahead of you, because they're your trail guides on that winding, twisting, curving path into the future. They're going to know where they're living and working. Get in touch with those students and ask them to do a compare, contrast. What about these different sites? A, B, C, D, E. Get with those students and learn what is actually taking place at those sites. They're all unique. They're all different. And you'll benefit from their advice. Prepare now, be grateful you did later. If your medical school uses distributed campus sites, which they increasingly do, then you need to visit them virtually or physically with your significant others. Take a hike in the woods at least to get started with a friend or two and decide what factors are most important to you. You should consider carefully the variables in this equation of the clinical location that are unique to you and your family situation and circumstances. That's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of discussion, such as immediate and extended family needs and support. Most students will say they often need more support for their families. The hours are going to be longer and less predictable. Who's going to pick your kids up after school when you are busy doing surgery? Employment for spouses, significant others. All predicated on the opportunities in that supply-demand curve for work and professionals in occupational and employed life. What about your family's faith? Are you paying attention to how you and your family are going to grow in a community? Investigate churches and synagogues and places where you can go and grow and serve and engage together on your faith journey. What about the needs of your dependents, including a need for talented healthcare professionals and physicians? Perhaps you've got a special needs child. I've seen students courageously come forward and share those needs with faculty and deans to ensure that they get what they need for their children so that they can thrive and you can live well during this third year. Recognize what's important. Maybe you've got a 7th grade all-star pitcher who's headed to the major leagues. Okay, that's an athletic team and a coach. Maybe you've got an aging parent that's going to move with you with special geriatric healthcare needs. Maybe you want to drive back to see family. Maybe you've got to have some nanny support because you're going to be off doing call. Yes, you'll be on call. You might work with residents and fellow physicians that take call schedules and see patients overnight. It's not going to just be going home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or chasing out to the golf course or running to the pickleball court. You're going to be on call. Back to the basics with your family, right? Who's going to pick up your child from school? What about that learning climate at the clinical site? Do they integrate resident and fellow physicians in graduate medical education? Or are you going to be learning only from and only with community-based attending physicians? There's a difference. Many students really want to start to engage with resident physicians because why? That's your next employed position after med school graduation. Evaluating and managing patients in teams of resident and fellow physicians, because that's where you're moving next. You'll be an employed doctor soon after the match, evaluating and managing patients with teams of doctors and leading students yourselves while learning a specialty in graduate medical education. Give it a lot of thought before you rank order your preferences for clinical sites. At the beginning and all the way along the way, step up. Make the appointments. Meet with the deans or the faculty members leading clinical assignments. No one can advocate for you or your family except you. then you will fully understand the unique needs and what you are going to have to put on the table at your med school to be seen as someone who really demonstrates care and concern for your family. Everyone grows in respect for that student. These are the types of students that become great advocates for patients as doctors and display tremendous humanism, compassion, and empathy for others in challenging circumstances. The types of doctors we would all want to see and work with. Strategy 3, always remember, yes, always, keeping your family together is going to beat all of the other available options. Make this your focused, top, number one priority. No one can do it except you. And note well, living apart for years or a couple semesters or two from family members and significant others, parents, children, dependents. What do the philosophers or country western singers sing and say? Absence does not make the heart grow fonder. You can hear the tunes. Listen to a little bit of country western on your playlist. Sadness, heartbreak. You'd like to avoid it, and you can by staying focused on keeping your family together. You really don't want to make the years 3 and 4 in med school tougher on your family than they need to be. Call a family meeting, bring the meal, engage in conversations, get them excited. Many colleagues who followed this advice are thriving years later. What you learn now will help you down the road when your medical career takes another twisting turn on your journey. Some who chose not to keep their families together in medicine, in the quest for success, in this long educational process to the finish line, they have deep regrets, but they can't take back the decisions they made in the past. Going off on your own is generally not going to get you to get this equation put together right for your family's life and their needs. And it's complicated. Your colleagues are not going to be able to do it for you. You're only replaceable at work, not at home. And you're going to see those areas where you can be tapped to lead for a time. And in a season, someone will take your spot. But at home, you're irreplaceable. So be wise. Put your family first. Your strategy here begins early. Information gathering opportunities. Not all the world's medical schools, in fact most, are not going to prioritize your individual and family-specific requests. You're the advocate. In all these transitions you're going to make, colleagues, in your careers, focus on your family. Put your family first. Your strategy here really begins early because you're gathering information that's going to give you just that great opportunity to put that family set of needs first as you think about communities and where you'd like to spend that third year. Not all the world's medical schools, in fact most, are not going to prioritize your family-specific request. You're the advocate, so advocate. Then, make plans for an exciting visit to the community site. 2 or 3 virtually, and then maybe in person on a weekend with your significant others. Pack up the family. If you're married to a pilot, your spouse is going to want to know about the logistics. What would it be around flight times, commute times, dropping children off at daycare, or just navigating a few new city routes if you have to uproot from the main campus and move your family unit. Spend that time together. Meet the staff in the daycares and in the schools. You're going to be so glad you did. It'll be a family move, a major move, and it'll be a successful move where you and your family can thrive, not just try to survive. Strategy 4 in setting up your third year. In light of assessing your own unique individual and family life situations, ask, where can you then go to find the background information at your school that's going to help you to start, evaluate, and compare-contrast these clinical sites well in advance of being assigned. First of all, start with your school's website. Most schools have an online repository of information. Different clinical sites, unique attributes, complete with videos perhaps. It'll give you a good synopsis of the opportunities there, including, for instance, in surgery, which hospitals in that community might have a very super specialized surgery program, such as open heart or robotics focus. Talk with the faculty, spend time with the deans, look online to find this information. It's there, you just need to find it, even if it's not all that transparent in some wide open spaces and places on the web. Here's another tremendous opportunity for you to think about, and that you won't want to miss. As a physician leader, I've always advocated that med schools should have a clinical site showcase or a campus fair, actually on campus, where students can go in person, visit with the representatives, some of them physician leaders, directors of these campus and community-based sites, further removed from the main campus geographically, but then you're there at the booth, having that interaction with colleagues in person, building a relationship, deciding whether or not you might be a good fit with that community, the hospital, the clinics, the people, the programs, the culture, all that they're offering, and which could be, they might be recruiting you to their talent pipeline. You might meet a physician leader who completed her student or residency years and can tell you why it was so formative in her career. But even more importantly, start with the class just 1 year ahead of you, right? They'll tell you how it was set up last year. Maybe it's going to be adapted slightly this year, but get out ahead of it with that class just ahead of you that succeeded in setting up their third year unique to your own campus. Network with your peers and colleagues. An incredibly helpful set of information is going to be always coming from your student friends and those classmates just ahead of you who are already right now living in these communities, engaged in these different sites. There's no doubt they have experienced the pros and cons, the ups and downs, the advantages and disadvantages of being in very different, unique communities. They will know, and they're going to be pleased to share with them with you the ins and outs of what they navigated during their third and even fourth years of medical school. Yes, you might even be back for year 4 at this site for a significant number of experiences. Some of these medical students may have already received their first choice for campus site assignments, and they're ecstatic about it. But maybe some did not, and they grew into it. Whatever the rules and restrictions were for your school's lottery or match assignment of clinical experiences, remember, we as physicians got through it. You will as well. Adapt, be resilient, like you're going to have to be for all these clinical assignments and responsibilities in residency and beyond to come in your future career. A third-year assignment will never make or break your learning and your career pathway, but an attitude, if not optimal, with an open mindset, might just set you back academically or professionally. And you've come too far for that. So grow into your network with the students who have just had these experiences. They're ahead of you. They're leading that path to graduation. Learn as much as you can from them. They'll give you the unvarnished information about where to live, how to live in the community, what the cost of living is, the ins and outs, the favorite bakeries, how to be near the hospital site, what to do in surgery, what to do in pediatrics. In these small communities or large cities, close or further from the main campus, if you're married or not, talk with these colleagues if you've got dependent children or aging parents that are going to move with you. They'll give you the information that you need to succeed. And then check out the videos down below on this channel. Lots of opportunities and some challenges on how to really succeed in medicine being married. I've heard from others who found them helpful. Lastly, keep in mind, an open mind is going to be useful. A new campus-affiliated clinical site. It could be out there. It could be a great fit for you. I've helped set up a number in my career. They can give you that tremendous entrepreneurial edge to be a medical student on the front wave, an ambassador, a leader, taking the risks and learning much in a new ecosystem with talented preceptors engaged in your learning and helping you become an even better leader. But you've got to take the first step. Get the information, do your due diligence, and most of the students who I know who've done that on new sites were so pleased looking back. They took the risk and they received the rewards. So you ask, why should I care? I'm in a second year, sophomore semester, trying to slog through pathophysiology, microbiology, and all of these classroom courses. Clinics sound like a long ways off, Dr. Brands. Why should I care? Because it's your career. If you don't line up a course sequence that you think is going to help you become a better orthopedic surgeon or an ophthalmologist or an anesthesiologist or a cardiologist or a pediatrician, then you're going to lose out. And remember, it's that opportune time for you to plan ahead, to look ahead, and to really get excited about the clinical aspects of your medical school career. You don't want to stay in the classroom forever, right? You want to move into those clinical settings where you're actually going to learn how to be a fine young student doctor. Bonus round, 2 additional action steps in setting up your third year. This one is key. Try to end that third year early. It might take a dean to say, oh, wow, you want to go into neurosurgery or orthopedics or critical care medicine? We'll let you finish in May, June, July, and you can get a jump start on your 4th year to show exactly how great you are in those fields, and you can go do away experiences and audition rotations that will make you an even stronger candidate in the specialty that you desire to match in. Setting aside short times away to do those experiences are key. And then don't forget, take some time off in the middle of that third year. The middle of the holidays, the end of the calendar year. Spend some time, recharge, rejuvenate, rest, relax with family and friends after those intense experiences. In summary, that third year, it's a critical, key clinical year, and it's going to bring you in to that opportunity set to become an even finer physician graduate of your med school. In this short, high-impact learning session, we've covered a lot of high-yield information on how to strategize setting yourself and your family up for success. You can do it proactively. So here's a quick recap on this session as I come back to that big picture theme as you look ahead. First and foremost, see the big picture. Plan it out. Second, consider the clinical site locations in that course lineup that you think are going to help you succeed. Third, focus on your family. Consider well in advance that individual set of needs you can advocate for. Your educational program might not, but you can. Fourth, ask those questions. that are going to help you identify critical sets of information for your decisions on third year and beyond into fourth. Next, set aside the time to investigate your options, because then you and your family will be thriving and you'll be an even better professional, compassionately, effectively caring for others. Then, retrieve and review the information well ahead of the timelines and deadlines that your school is going to expect you to live within. Network with the peers and those classmates just ahead of you, your colleagues that will tell you about these clinical sites in the communities and what they've experienced in the third and fourth year. Finally, as you set the strategy in motion, keep an open mind, take risks, be an entrepreneur. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe down below, leave a comment, share these videos with your classmates who need sound, excellent advice. It's the real world. It's not just being book smart. It's figuring out how you're going to track and set your own career up for success. And then, as you head into the clinical experiences, you'll be glad you did. And until you play and maybe win the school lottery and receive your clinical site and course assignments, stay well, study well, and be sure to plan well proactively for your own individual professional future.
Board exams ahead. Take a deep breath, friend. Let's conquer what you dread.